Hi, my name is Adrian and I am a full stack web engineer. I develop modern full stack JavaScript applications, custom WordPress plugins and tools, and Laravel applications. You can find some of my apps in the description.
You have to see it for yourself.
Today, I want to share my self-taught coding story, how I got started, my journey, and where I am today. My first interaction with web development was in 2006. In high school, I took a class called The Technology of Information and Communication. In this class, we learned about how to use a computer, the Microsoft Office suite, and towards the end, we learned about the web and how a web page works.
Nice.
For the final assignment, I had to build a website about my town. It had to have several pages about different aspects of the town, and I could only use HTML since this was the only language we learned about in class. Since we started learning about the web, I have been fascinated and I loved the assignment. This was the first website I built. Years have passed and I haven't had any interaction with web development. After high school, I decided to study music for my college degree. After my first year in college, at a family event, one of my cousins told me he was a web developer and he was earning a pretty impressive income. This reminded me how much I enjoyed building the website in high school, and I've decided to learn web development and make a career out of it. I started learning how to build websites on WordPress in 2010. After a few months, I realized I needed to learn some CSS and HTML if I wanted to develop a nice website. In 2010, there were no page builders. You had to know how to code. So I started to learn CSS. Because I was studying music and not computer science, my learning process was really slow. In 2010, there were not a lot of courses or materials on the internet. After finishing college, I wanted to build guitars full-time. I bought myself some hand tools, some wood, some books, and I started my journey as a luthier. This was my first reality check. Learning a skill takes time and dedication to master. My first guitar was a disaster. It looked like a bad potato with a neck and strings. But I was so proud of myself for being able to build it in the first place. In 2012, I got married and took a part-time job as a music teacher for a nonprofit organization teaching music for children from a state foster care facility. In 2013, my teaching job ended and I had to get another job to support my family. I worked in a warehouse handling the incoming and outgoing orders. During this time, I finished my first guitar and continued to improve my web development skills. In 2013, I got my first web development job. A friend of my wife needed someone to build a couple of websites and handle customer service. At this job, I learned a lot of CSS, HTML, and started to experiment with jQuery and PHP. One of the best things about this job was that I had access to a senior developer who helped me when I got stuck. And when I started, I got stuck a lot. I also discovered Fiverr, where I offered WordPress development services. I managed to get 2 gigs, building 2 websites for $5 each. In 2014, I landed another job where I developed my first fully custom website, an e-commerce store selling farm equipment. Here, I learned how to work with PHP and jQuery. I learned how to develop custom themes, plugins, and work with WordPress hooks and filters. I quit a year later because the role shifted away from development and I wanted to focus on coding. Meanwhile, I finished my second guitar and I also got an order for a custom guitar. The client wanted me to use this amazing Cocobolo set and add specific ornaments to it. In 2015, after finishing my third guitar, I returned to WordPress development. I failed to find a local job, so I signed up on Upwork. Soon after, I landed my first client, a marketing agency from Australia, for whom I worked for about 10 months. I developed everything from one-page websites to e-commerce stores. In 2015, I won the lottery, the US Visa lottery, and I got a green card. In 2016, I finished 3 other guitars while continuing my work for the Australian agency. Later that year, my wife, son, and I moved to the United States. I kept freelancing on Upwork and worked with US-based clients. In 2017, I landed a full-time job as a WordPress developer at Voice Media Group. After starting with Visual Composer projects, I took over most of their custom WordPress development, including themes, plugins, customizations, and API integrations. I had the privilege of working with some amazing and talented individuals from whom I learned a lot and who helped me push my development skills to the next level. Beyond web development, I learned better ways to set up my local environment, better ways to manage multiple websites, and some valuable soft skills. In 2018, I was recruited by IBM as lead developer for one of their biggest WordPress projects, an e-commerce platform for students in Africa and the Middle East. It took me and a team of 6 developers about 6 months to build the platform. After a year, the platform grew and keeping it on WordPress was not feasible. The management decided to redesign and re-architect the platform, rebuilding it on Node and React, and our team expanded from 10 people to around 30. I was part of the front-end team and I developed components for the course interface. This was the first interaction I had with React, and it was pretty confusing. Most of my JavaScript development was done in jQuery, and React was a totally different thing. But I made it work thanks to the help I got from my other colleagues who helped me when I got stuck. At IBM, I gained experience working on large-scale projects with large teams. Also, I learned about Git and version control. In 2020, I decided to leave IBM for multiple reasons. The main reason was that I was a contractor and it wasn't possible for me to get hired directly by IBM due to some clauses in my contract. Another reason was that in 2017, I started doing affiliate marketing and I was making a pretty decent income, so I wanted to focus more on that. I did affiliate marketing until May of 2021 when my profits from affiliate marketing tanked. The ads became way more expensive and tracking the sales became harder. My profit margins decreased to 10%, which was not sustainable. Plus, one of the vendors decided not to pay me for 2 full months of commissions, and it was a pretty big bill. I decided to go back to freelancing. I polished my Upwork profile and started applying for jobs there. Since I had good ratings, I got my first clients fairly quickly, and I still work with some of them 4 years later. Another thing I did was to reach out to marketing agencies on LinkedIn to see if they have work overflow and managed to get several agency clients. I had good and bad months like every other freelancer, but I also got some bad clients. Because of this unstable situation and because I had a family who depended financially on me, in mid-2023, I started looking for a job. I got hired 6 months later by a WordPress plugin company to be part of their marketing team, where a team of 4 developers and I managed their web asset portfolio. I learned a lot of new stuff like some DevOps and working with modern PHP frameworks. I was laid off by this company in February of 2025 along with several other of my colleagues. Since I was laid off, my main focus was to hone my JavaScript full stack development skills. I bought a course, built some apps, and continued freelancing as my main source of income. My journey as a web developer is unique. I don't think I'm special, and I think everyone can learn and have a career in this industry. Learning a hard skill isn't easy, but it is possible, and I am a living proof of it. That's my story, and I hope it helped. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments down below.